Hey, are we ready for this?
Yeah, let's run it. Take one. So you're getting into videography, you're getting into cinematography, and you're trying to figure out, like, man, what's the best frame rate for me to shoot in on a consistent basis for your project, for your event? Is it 24 frames? Is it 60 frames? Is it 120 FPS? And I'm going to tell you right now, we're not going to focus too deep into 120 FPS. All you need to know for the most part, really, it's just that 120 FPS is for capturing super smooth footage. If you're trying to turn something into slow-mo and capture every single detail in that slow-mo, 120 FPS is the way to go. Like rain, snow, smoke, anything that would have a lot of motion blur to the human eye and that the human eye can't usually catch everything in detail in, you would shoot in 120 FPS and you would go in post, you would slow it down, you'd be able to see so much more because you got so many frame rates coming in at a second at a time. You wouldn't miss a thing. That's for like sports, that's for like things that has a lot of movement, has a lot of motion blur. Like I said, we're not gonna speak too much on that. We're really gonna focus on the main two, which is 24 frames and 60 FPS. And 60 FPS is in fact very similar to 120 FPS. All it is just less frame rates than 120. You're really mainly using 60 FPS to capture smoother footage as well and go back and turn that into slow-mo and post if you like to, but if not, you don't have to. You might be at a sports game. All right, hold on real quick, because I left this part out in the video. I wanted to clarify and make sure that it's known that 60 FPS is also for B-roll alongside with 120 FPS. This is basically for, like I've been saying, catching the details, getting smooth footage, whether you're going in post to slow it down or not. These frame rates are pretty much for when you're just trying to show the details of a subject, of a person or a thing, a location, trying to get smooth tracking footage. This is what 60 FPS is typically used for. I left that part out. I just had to put it back in there. But yeah, anyways, play the clip. Let's go. You might be recording cars. You might be recording some nature. You might be recording some who knows what, but you want to capture details that the human eye would mostly miss. And you want to be able to show those details off in post by adding that slow-mo in. You just want to get smoother footage and eliminate some motion blur that typically would happen if you were shooting at 24 frames. 24 frames is actually the closest FPS that gives off what we see as humans daily. So this is why you're always going to see movies, interviews, documentaries being shot at 24 frames, because it looks the most natural. It gives off that cinematic look better than any other frame rate that's out there. When you're talking about this whole cinematic look, all that pretty much means to me, how real can it look? How real can it feel? And 24 frames is going to help you have your audience feel more connected because it displays the motion blur that we see on a daily basis as we go out through our lives. So 60 frames would just be a lot less motion blur, and you can already tell it's like, you don't feel like you're immersed in the video, in the movie, in the scene. You're gonna feel more so like, I'm watching this and it looks really smooth, it looks really good. Like, this clip is really clean. I'm watching it. But when you're watching it in 24 frames, you're like, damn. You feel like you're there. It's much more of an impact. It's much more of a connect and disconnect. This is why you don't want to shoot your YouTube videos at 60 FPS, especially when you're shooting like this. I mean, I thought when I started off YouTube, I thought like every video that I shoot, even when it's like this, I gotta shoot at 60 FPS. I thought like, the smoother the video, the better the quality. That just means I'm winning, but I was wrong. 24 frames is actually the way to go because it feels more natural, it feels more genuine, it feels more wholesome. It feels more connected. Changing the frames you shoot at can up your quality a whole lot more. You might be shooting the wrong frames at the wrong time, and just changing that one step can change the game for you. So I'm not saying you can't shoot 24 frames during action shots and action scenes and where there's a lot of movement, because we do it all the time. In fact, I've done it plenty of times. When you're shooting something with a lot of movement, you're gonna get a lot of motion blur. So you do that when you want the audience to feel more connected, when you want something to feel more like you're in the scene versus when you want to just display the scene, if you get what I mean. So this is not me telling you do these things and only do these things. Like, by all means, break the rules, break the laws, because these rules and creativity are meant to be broken. I would hate if you didn't try to break them, you know what I'm saying? Set some new rules and break them again. I'm just saying that when you're going for a certain look, when you're going for a certain style, or you're trying to just simply, master your skill set, these are some good guidelines to go by to help you kind of gain knowledge and own what you're trying to get the look for. It's all up to the person that's behind the camera. So I'm not telling you what to do, what not to do. I hope you make some crazy clips, some crazy content with it, some crazy projects with it, man. So all in all, that's what the frame rates are. I hope this information helped, man. If not, I'm sorry. I'm not the best at explaining stuff, but that's probably why I'm not the best at explaining stuff. I really gotta stop saying that. I'm probably speaking on myself for real. I'm working on that. But yeah, I really did hope this helped. If it didn't, man, hit me up in the comment section. I'll be happy to clarify or re-explain or give a better example, of what to do, what not to do, or how something is typically used when it comes to these frame rates. But yeah, I'm gonna holler at you guys on the next one. If you liked it, enjoyed, don't forget to subscribe. I gotta start telling y'all to subscribe, man. We got a bunch of y'all watching, none of y'all subscribing. You got to subscribe, dog. I'm getting out of here. I'm finna go cook some fish and rice, so I'm out, man. Y'all be easy.